Speaking of sponsorships, one of the decals we noticed on the R15 this year, Tag Heuer, noticed everybody yesterday wearing the same watches and maybe even glasses. Are those from...
You mean these?
Yeah. Are those Tag?
Yeah, these are the new sports glasses. Quite good, actually. And that's not because of any PR stuff.
The watch, is that...
Yeah.
Carrera?
Yeah, Carrera, yeah, look, Tag's been associated with motorsport for a long time, and specifically with this race, and I don't think there was any driver that was disappointed when we heard that there was going to be an association with Tag Heuer. The watches obviously are very much part of it, and precision and timekeeping is something that's very key to what we're doing, and very key to this race, and very key to Tag. And so, you know, it's nice to have it in your wrist, that's for sure.
Two legendary Le Mans brands at this point.
Well, you know, linking in together, it's exactly that. It is, and thinking back, you can't forget about the history, and especially this place drags you back to remember the history. Just even when you're sitting there, you can see the old grandstands, the Dunlop Bridge, and then, you know, yesterday we scrutineered in downtown in the Place de Jacobin, or just next to it. And so you've got that sort of mix of today, right now, the latest technology, the future technology for road cars, and that sort of drag back to the history. And I think with Audi, you know, we've definitely got very good history here, but we've also got future technologies, and with Tag Heuer, same, the precision and the detail. But looking back into the past, I think a lot of us remember a certain film. Yeah. And I don't mean Truth in 24, I mean the first edition of the Le Mans Legend films.
Well, actually, you mentioned last time we spoke about one of your favorite moments, or one of the things that gets you the most coming to Le Mans, is going to the square where Steve McQueen drives his 911 in, and there you are. Had he come this year, there would have been scrutineering. The road may have been closed. How did that work for you on the team side? It was certainly more cramped quarters.
Question. It was, you know, it's busier. It was more cramped. It was inconvenient. But it's one of these inconveniences, a little bit like the parade on the Friday night, that all was in typical French style, but you know, they say it starts at 5 o'clock, but it doesn't, it starts at 6:30, and it meant to finish at 7, but it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock. You know, that is not your ideal way to prepare for a 24-hour race the next day, but it's one of those inconveniences that you really have to preserve. You've got to keep it, because that's when the fans can get very close to the cars, to the drivers, to the whole atmosphere. And I think there's no other sporting event in the world that has that and is like that. And I think that's one of the little quirks that keeps Le Mans up there and keeps it special. And as us drivers, the more you do, the more you realise that this part of the historic angle of it is something that needs to be preserved.
I think the scrutineering setup this year was maybe temporary. I know they're building that.
It's 2 years that we're going to have this sort of temporary, but you know, at the end of the day, scrutineering at any other track is at the track. It's in the pit lane, it's private, it's behind closed doors. Yeah. It's not lift the shutters up, it's not invite the crowds, the town, passers-by into the heart of it. And this open philosophy is not very natural for us in Europe. It's natural here, but not in racing in Europe. In America, we've known for many years that you know, American Le Mans Series, good, biggest race, 12 hours of Sebring, and you're just preparing mentally to get into the car. You know, you've got big first race of the season, and that guy comes up and asks for an autograph right there on the, you know. But that is one of the things that I think keeps the fan interest and keeps it really close and keeps us real a little bit as well, as a team and as a driving group.
I haven't been to every race in the ALMS. I've been to Sebring many times.
You've been quite a few, George, I can tell you.
But well, I know the Sebring, the scrutineering is just a tent off to the side, not really a public thing. Do you think the races, maybe the more iconic races like Sebring or like Petit, might benefit from this sort of openness that Le Mans has?
I think certainly here requires it to keep its status. I think that some of the other races probably not, because if you try to recreate too much of something, then you dull it down. Sebring's got its own, I would say, its own status, and it doesn't require too much more. personally, it's still the 12 hours of Sebring. You just need to drive down the start-finish lane, and you look at all the winning manufacturers along there from 56 or 57 or something, and the circuit hasn't changed a heck of a lot since then. So I was speaking to Sir Stirling Moss, who won first or second race, and he was describing the course and everything as it was back then. And you know, start finish still the straight. Turn one, there's now a wall, but there was cones or various other things there. But the fundamentals of it are still Sebring of old. And from that point of view, I don't think it needs to sort of do very much more.
Sure.
Petit Le Mans, oddly, that's one race that in 10 years or 12 years since it kicked off has become one of the big ones. And I'm very positively surprised how that's came around. You know, you can see it from the fan base, you can see it from the fact that even in the leaner years, not now when we've got big manufacturers going head to head, there were still huge crowds and there was still a big atmosphere about it. And I think to some extent the layout of the American circuits does help it. You know, you're camping and the ability to see a lot of the track. It's not flat and bland and open, and it's not been designed by some guy in a computer CAD-CAM system back in an office. It's got no windows. They've got real character and feel about them, and I think that's probably what sets out the legendary tracks and legendary races, is they've got character.